Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me again. It's your boy TeaRon. That's TeaRon, period. And today, today I have someone that I've been wanting to come on and do this thing for quite some time. So, for the past few episodes, we've gone international. We talked to some people abroad, but right now we're gonna bring it and reel it in here. And I'm just gonna talk to my homie from up the road here. I'm not even gonna waste any time because this is somebody clearly I can waste time with. Okay. I tell you all the time, I can talk to anyone. It is what it is. But every now and then you come across someone and it's just like, this is the homie. Like, this is just what it is. So I want to go ahead and let him introduce himself, who he is, where he's from, all that shit. Yohannes, go ahead and take it and let's make it happen.
Definitely. Yo, I appreciate you letting me be on your show and your podcast. I appreciate that. And my name is Yohannes. I am from Ohio, so I'm just like a state above him. And I have a YouTube channel called Afric Network. And on Afric Network, it is a cultural channel, like a melanated African descent, Black people cultural channel. And so I talk about history, I try foods, I travel, I talk about everything, to be honest with you, that tries to encompass our culture. And I'm actually going to try to introduce more things. I have a lot of more like Black people in the car world and like doctors and all kind of people coming up that I'm trying to interview. And so the interview aspect has usually been digitally, like over Zoom or something like that, but I'm trying to get to where I can actually sit down with like professional or non-professional Black people and talk about like their different skills and, try to help people that want to get into these different fields and spread that information. So yeah, I have a Black cultural channel. It's called Afric Network, and I just hope you guys will check it out.
You know what? This is what I'm thinking as you're explaining it for the listeners. If you go into a store and you're going to go get you some cereal, right? And there's so many types of fucking like cereal, so many options. Basically, if you're a fan of this podcast, if you listen to this and you like what we do with Afric Network, it's just another cereal. It's just right there. So we're more so like the generic bring of like, Cheerios, and then he's the actual Cheerios.
Yo, I don't like you giving me that much credit.
So it's similar, but that's how I'm perceiving this. I'm perceiving this. So let's just get right into it. Why the name Afric Network? What made you start it? Because it's been a few years that you've really been building at it, right? Which I commend, because being consistent is the hardest thing in this medium of media, right? But what made you start it? Why'd you decide to call it that? Get into that for me if you can.
Definitely. So the funny thing is that what made me start it is that when I was growing up, I noticed that I grew up in a household where I knew my culture. I was sort of kind of like taught history and like different like melanated people's history throughout the whole world, in America, in Africa and the Caribbeans, and just different leaders and things like that. So I guess I had a little bit more of a different upbringing when it comes to maybe some other Black people, depending on where they're at in the world. And that sort of kind of made me be who I am and wanted to find out more, because I started to meet some of our brothers and sisters that really didn't care about who they were or knew who they were, or they didn't necessarily even want to look back further than like, oh, I'm just a Black person in America, or like they just didn't care about their heritage. And then I seen other people that knew their heritage, that obviously originally came from us as a people, but they weren't necessarily what modern day would say is an African descent person or a Black person. And so therefore I knew who I was, or at least I thought I knew who I was. I knew who I was I think a little bit more than the common Black person did in America. And so that's what kind of led me to be like, seek out other cultures. And when I sought out other cultures, I sought out like the Cambodian community, especially in Ohio. I sought out like the Indian community, other Black people from different communities. And I learned their language. I learned like the cultural habits of them in America versus back at home and all this kind of other stuff. And that sort of kind of pushed me to my teenage and young adult years. And then eventually that led me to thinking about starting a YouTube channel. And I wish I would have started when it first came out, which I think it came out originally in like 2011 or 2010. And if I would have started it when it first came out and would have even been aware of it, I'd probably be way bigger than I am now, but I just didn't even know it existed. And so one day I was like, how can I create something that encompasses all Black people or all African people around the world, or whatever you want to be called, melanated people around the world? How can I create a community and a system to where they can link up and they can also learn from each other? And that's sort of kind of where Afric Network came from. And believe it or not, I went through 50 names before I came up with Afric Network. And I went through so many names in my brain. I should have wrote it down, but I was just super young. So I was like, I didn't see the significance of having the original of something. But I had so many names that I can't even remember even one of them. But after 3 years of thinking, even though I should have been making videos, I came to the conclusion of Afric Network. And when I came to that conclusion, it stuck because okay, people of African descent, Black people, whatever you call yourself around the world, right? Like melanated people, but then also network, because it's a network to connect and to showcase different ways of lives of Black people around the world, whether they're doctors, car people, restaurants, history, whatever it might be. So I'm trying to make like a worldwide network that all people of African descent around the world watch, regardless of what country they're in. So if they can be in Japan and they could pay their cable company to watch Afric Network, right? Or if they're in America, they can pay their cable company to watch Afric Network, or whatever that might be. Whenever I get that big, it might not be a cable company, but you know what I mean. So that's
it'd
sort
be
of
an app.
It'd be an app. You know what I'm saying? It'd be an app. I'm just, I'm using today's logic in a way, but yeah, you're right. Like it will be an app. And so this app that they could download and they can watch things from in the future, that was something that I wanted to be able to connect our people all around the world, even though some people don't want to be connected and some people do, but that's cool. Like everybody doesn't have to be connected, but my job, or what I believe in, is to connect the people that want to be connected, which I think is the majority of people of African descent around the world,
I love it. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's so dope. And that's why I was explaining to you before. I was like, there's certain people that me, I should say, there's some people that I will come across that I want to connect with or have on the program. And if there was a checklist, which I think there maybe kind of is subconsciously, but if there was a checklist,
right,
you would fit into the criteria because what you're doing matches up so much with what the goal and purpose of this is. I think your execution, I think you've been at it a lot longer, and so I could definitely look to you and be like, okay, maybe I should be doing this like this.
I'm glad you feel that way. I'm glad you wanted something. You're onto something.
I was like, oh shit, maybe tweak this. But
right.
But no, it's definitely admirable, because this particular pathway, what I found in being able to connect with people in the diaspora, to connect with people in different countries from different cultures, it definitely takes a level of patience, a level of finesse, if you will, because you have to start to be like open to like understandings that you never would have like thought, right? I have some people who have some ideas or were raised a certain way, and they have some perceptions of things that I may not directly agree with, and so I had to learn to remove the me from that to really be able to appreciate and connect with, my brother from, Sierra Leone or whichever, right? So you have people who just are built up a different way, but I don't think that should limit, the way we are able to communicate. Have you ever run into an issue where you try to build a bridge with someone and it's, of course, like I said, you have to be mindful of certain things, but have you come across any aspects of like finding bumps in the road, or how would you maneuver in those because I'm saying have you, but now I'm gonna say I know you have.
Right.
But how did you take yourself out of it in order to be able to receive or appreciate the other side? Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. It's I've been in so many situations where a lot actually, and I look at it like maybe there are things in this universe that are constant, right? Like gravity and that might not even be true. Like, I don't know. We haven't explored everything about black holes, so maybe that's even a lie. But what I'm saying is that the majority of times throughout the universe, we've already seen that gravity is everywhere for the most part, or like space is everywhere for the most part, right? So I said that to say this is that there's times where I've met with people where their ideology and how they grew up, they don't care what I say. They hate me. And it's our own people, and it is what it is. And it's different ideologies, and it's okay. And I tell people all the time, like, when you come to the table as different nations, whether it's be like, African Americans or Black people in America, or, Nigerians or Ethiopians or like Jamaicans or Afro Dominicans or Afro Brazilians or whatever, right? When you come to the table, it's not necessarily about always agreeing. That's not what it's about. It's about being able to talk to each other and come to a agreement, even if you don't agree with it, and try to get everybody to be happy or somewhat happy with that agreement. Now, of course, a lot of people don't believe in that. Some people believe in, cut their heads off, like, forget them, like, this is our tribe, forget that tribe. I'm not one of those people, but there are a lot of people out there. So to answer your question, yeah, even people in America, Black people in America, and people outside of America, yeah, I've had people that met with resistance, or they're like, you're from America, so you'll never be different. Or people in America that's like, like, we shouldn't be giving our olive branch to Black people outside of America, because like they don't care, or they take us for granted, or they were part of the problem, like whatever it might be. For me, maybe this is crazy to say in a way, but for me, like, I am the bridge, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to sit up here and, like, no other person in this world, even in my own people, is going to take away who I am and my heritage. And so the problem is that people get so stuck up on how other people feel and what they think of them, and how they judge them, versus understanding that they are just another Black person just like you. The right that they have to think like that is the same right that I have to think like, you don't tell me who I am. I tell me who I am. The same way you feel that way. So yeah, there's been bumps and potholes in the road, but is it like that majority of the time? No. Actually, the majority of the time, it's not like that. I would say like 80 to 90% of the time, it's not like that. But the problem is that everybody's so tribalistic, and being tribalistic is not a bad thing, but being tribalistic when it comes to, like, not like outside of culture and just judging somebody off of who they are or where they come from. No, I don't believe in tribalistic or tribes when it comes to that. But I do believe in tribes when it comes to two things. Either this person is wrong, or we've all clearly stated that this person is wrong, even if they're not wrong, but this is a tribe decision. Or even more prevalent, which is, this is our culture, this is our language, this is how we speak, this is the foods that we eat. And so if you guys don't accept it, then we can go our separate ways. You know what I'm saying? But I really don't believe in war. I believe war is the last resort. And I believe war is only when you can't solve things. And I think, and a lot of times in our community, as Black people all around the world, around the world, our biggest problem is that we do not know how to communicate with each other. And humbling yourself and understanding that people didn't grow up like you, and not assuming that everybody knows what you know, that's the first step to bridging the gap between Black people. And of course, there's some Black people that's just out here for war. You can't change some people. Some people just here for war. That's their makeup, that's their attitude. But then I think the majority of human beings in this world are not here for war. And that's just my thought. You know what I'm saying?
I totally agree. Do you think, because this is how I feel, I think that being African American and having a desire or a knack for exploring cultures that you would just innately have no attachment to, I think that it's a unique perspective, because one thing that I'll talk about often, and I have to give you some homework so you can go back and listen to these things, but there is what I call, and maybe maybe I need to actually like coin this or whatever, but there's this what I call this escape route mentality, right? It's basically the intentional idea of being an immigrant coming to America and always having a plan to get the fuck up out of here, right? And in a lot of ways, I don't, even if people don't consciously think of it, it's a luxury to have an option of a place to go to in your old age, or a place that you can get away from the things that we have to deal with day to day. And it's a luxury that Black Americans don't have, because we don't have our own spaces, our own home country, right? And I think that idea, or that subconscious mind, affects how we perceive things. So when we go and we're saying, hey, I want to learn more about this country or this tribe or whichever, and we're open to it, from the other side, there's people that are like, no, like, we don't give a fuck about that. But it to me, it seems like it's because they already have their own, right? So when you have your own thing, or something that you can call your own, or something that you can be rooted in, having something from the outside coming into that, even if it's with open arms and with good intentions, you kind of like are not open to that. You kind of like, yo, I don't know. I'm not gonna share everything with you. I'll show you, like, okay, here's like some traditional garb, or here's what it was, but I'm not gonna let you in, right? And so I find that a lot of times when we are wanting to explore, or we have the yearning to do so, it's because of the Black American experience of being like not connected to something, that we'd be like, nigga, I want some of all of this. Nigga, I'll give you a piece of this, piece of that. Do you feel like that's a factor in what you do when you go to like educate yourself more, learn another language? Because personally, I feel like if I wasn't African American, I probably wouldn't care as much. Do you feel that way?
So I think you're right with what majority you said, but I also think that I've sort of kind of, and this is me, and a lot of people feel this way, because like we were talking about tribalism, there's a lot of Black people that's like, yo, like, if they don't care about me, then I don't care about them. When in all reality, I'm not saying that it was always, how can I say this? I'm not saying it was always like kumbaya. Like, there were different kingdoms and tribes, even in Africa, fighting against each other, or Black people. So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there's even a more disconnect than there ever was, in the sense of, why do you think that America doesn't go to war with Canada? Granted, yeah, we get it. Like, there's already this whole notion that America could be Canada, which is it's highly probable. It doesn't mean for sure, but it's highly probable, right? But all I'm trying to say is that there's a reason. You don't go to war with your neighboring countries if you don't have to. Why? Because it's better for trade. It's better for security. So all I'm trying to say is that, yeah, people can sit up here and say that Black people have been warring since the beginning of time, and they were, but everybody wasn't warring. Like there were, like, you had neighbors that were like, oh, I'm cool with you. Okay, I'm cool with this kingdom. Okay, we're going to trade with each other. Okay, we're going to this. So I'm just saying, from both sides. So I do agree, but I disagree, because there are Black people all around the world, in Africa and the Caribbean, that they are trying to preserve their culture, and they want to pass it along, and they want more knowledge of other Black people out. I know Black people in Ethiopia. I know Black people in Jamaica. I know Black people in Brazil, that they're like, no, I want to know more about African Americans. I want to know more about Jamaicans. Like, I want to know more about Haitians. So I balled Black people up into three groups, right? And I call it the balance three. That's just what I call it, but I call it the balance three, which is, on one side, there's a Black person that doesn't care, that just wants to be in their world. They're super duper tribal, in the sense of, they just want to be their world, their language, how they act. And look, I can't even say that's a bad thing. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can't say it's a bad thing. That's the way they want to live. And they don't care, right? And they feel like we're better off individually, like in different countries, right? Then you have the Black person in the middle that is like, can go either side. They're like, they maybe they were more ignorant, and now they're learning something, or they have this epiphany, or maybe they was around people like me and you, and they're like, yo, they're so prideful, like like that pride's rubbing off on me, like this feels good, you know what I'm saying? And they're coming this way, or they were maybe already this way and they're going back that way. And then you have the Black person that I consider myself to, where it's like, can't nobody tell me nothing. Like, in the sense of not ignorance, but in the sense of, you are another Black person. You cannot shame me enough to forget my heritage. You don't have that say so. I know you're another Black person, and I don't care what tribe or what country you're from, but you don't have that say so to shame me enough to make me feel bad enough about me not knowing who I am. And that takes a strong person to be like that. So I agree with you. Like, there is pros and cons of certain Black people that might not know as much as other Black people about who they are, or they might have to find out who they are, or maybe this identity has changed over time. But also, the cons of those type of Black people too is that they don't necessarily know this ancient whoever they were that some of the Black people know, that they don't even have to speak about, because it's a normal day-to-day to them. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But yeah, I think it's a more of a slippery slope. It's not one or the other. It's just like grass is greener on the other side type thing, you know?
I mean, I definitely agree. I think that I also feel like it's gonna be generational, right?
Exactly.
I think that a lot more young people are gonna be open to exploring those avenues versus, there's a whole generation of people I feel like dropped the ball because there was some things that were happening, in the 60s and 70s that were good, but it didn't stay that way. So I think it's generational. Huh?
No, I agree. And this is a crazy thing I'm about to say that I've come to, and I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off, but is that everything that we do every day, there's going to be some things that I'm doing right now that's going to be looked at as being a great thing, and there's going to be some things that I'm doing right now in the future by like younger generations that's going to be looked at as like I was still brainwashed or I was still a slave. I'm just being honest. That's the way it goes. There's always going to be something that people are going to look back and critique. Maybe I didn't do enough. Maybe I did too much. Maybe my ideology was different, and maybe they have more knowledge than what I have in the future that I don't have. You know what I'm saying? So it's sort of kind of one of those things where it's like you really can't be perfect, but you just try to do what you can do in that time period, and that's really all you can do. Because somebody's going to critique me 80 years from now. If hopefully I live, I'm pretty sure a lot of us going to live, well, some of us going to live like 120, 130. I'm shooting for like 140. And so if I'm still here, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to live as long as possible. If I'm still here, like, they're going to look back and be like, yo, like, you should have did some things differently. Or we have so much technology now that the things that you only dreamed about, we can do it like in a snap of a finger, and it ain't nothing. So I've accepted that, but a lot of people don't accept it. But I've accepted that I will never be perfect. As much as I try to be as good as I can be, there's going to be somebody that's going to critique me and say I didn't do enough, or there's going to be somebody that said that I did too much. You know?
Yeah, and it's funny because when you mentioned the technological aspect, that's the game changer. That's the thing that where we maybe didn't know as much, or if it felt like a task to get to know somebody that was different than you. Now it's just like, you can just be like, oh, there's almost no excuse, right? There's almost no excuse to be like, yo, I want to learn about such and such, or I'm curious about this. And you just go and type that thing in, and there it is, So you can connect, in no time. You and I, like we were talking about, we were getting confused about the time zone thing, right? but
Yeah.
but I find, and you probably run into this a lot too, is like the most I have to do is adjust my time zone if I want to talk to someone, right? So I might have to wake up at like 7 a.m. and talk to someone because they're in another place. But outside of that, there's no other adjustment. There's no other reason that you should not be able to communicate or connect with someone else, unless you're just completely stubborn to it, which
Well,
that's your prerogative. If honestly, if you're stubborn to doing that, I don't even know how you're listening to this right now. So.
well, yeah, but that's what I was gonna say. I didn't mean to interject with you, but that's what I was gonna say is that, like, I think that a lot of times, and I don't even want to really truly get into it that much, but there's people that I know that have pushback about this, and it's different ideologies. It's the same way that you had different ideologies where you had like Marcus Garvey or Malcolm X or whatever, all these leaders are out throughout the world. Haile Selassie, some people hate, some tribes in Ethiopia hates Haile Selassie, some people, they love him. All I'm trying to say is that, or Nelson Mandela, or all these people, right? All I have to say is that we have different ideologies. And I know people that have different ideologies than me. They say things like, yo, if people want to know it's 2022, they can just get on the phone and want to know. But I don't believe that. I believe that that is true. But I don't believe that that is true 100% because the ultimate thing is your brain. And to unlock your brain to actually want to know more is really the roadblock. People always sit up here saying, like, it's 2022, I can know whatever I want. I got a cell phone. Hold on. But you have to want to know.
You got to know that the phone even does that.
Exactly. That's why I tell people all the time, it's like, hold on, like, I don't even want to wake up too much stuff, but technology, right? Like, we're always talking about food deserts, and food deserts are definitely a real thing in all of Black America, really the whole world, to be honest with you. Well, not the whole world, but because there's a lot of poor Black societies around the world that they still have great food that's organic. So maybe let me not say that, but I'm saying in a lot of Black places, especially in the Western world, there's food deserts where people are eating like 20 chemicals. Like they're literally going down to the corner store for 18, 19, 20 years and buying this juice that has like 20, 30, 40 chemicals in it that will affect your brain, that can affect your brain, right? But even more than that, they're putting all this trash food in their body, which is food deserts. But what about technology deserts? There's a lot of people because I invest, I'm investing into some, to some point, and I do things. And the one thing I know about being in technology that I love is that the better the specs, the more RAM, the more faster processor, the bigger the screen, right? The more features it has, the bigger the battery. That means that if you know what you're doing, you have more access, you have more efficiency, and you have more time, and you can do things faster. Faster is inefficient is the main name of the game in this world. Because do you think that the people in the stock market, the S&P 500, right, all these brokers, all these hedge funds, all these people that have billions of dollars, $100 million corporate, do you think that they have to wait? Do you think they have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks? No, they're doing transactions like this. I mean, maybe not like this, but but compared to the normal Black person in the hood that doesn't even understand why they need a faster cell phone, even like our parents, I'll be trying to get at my mom sometimes, like, yo, like, you're a businesswoman. You need a faster cell phone. You are a businesswoman. You have a business. You are a business. You need to do things faster. That's how you make money. You need to do things faster. And I hate that it's like that in some aspects because I don't like to go to my grandmother or my mother and try to rush them. Like, I don't want to do that. But the reality is that there are a lot of technology deserts in the Black community in America, really all over the world. And look, let me just tell you this. There are some features that you cannot get on cheaper cell phones that most people can afford that you can get on cell phones that are higher up. Example, if you can't even write on your document that's a PDF in your phone and you can't even pull up a PDF app or it's moving too slow and you don't even have a way to sign your signature, what does that mean? You have to go to a computer. You have to find a computer. What if you don't have one at home? You have to go to the library. You're wasting time. You have to spend money and resources and gas to get there. You have to spend money and resources to even print it out. And then you have to send it in or take it where you're going versus having an expensive cell phone where you can literally sign the document there and just email it back. This stuff is very real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it definitely is. I completely agree. I know that this is one thing I think of all the time when it comes to tech is that for people that I know who are in countries that would be behind, right, and technologically speaking, right, are being hindered by just not having like 24-hour electricity, right? That is a huge loss. That's a huge L that you take because you can't be as productive as someone else who does have that, right? And in a lot of places where people even just take that thing for granted, but you being able, like, okay, the idea of the these jobs or these places that operate 24 hours, right? The absurdity of it all. But you have the ability to work around the clock all the time, to produce things all the time without interruption. That's something that a lot of people don't even think about anymore. It's just there, but it's a huge advantage in development. You know how many
Exactly.
intelligent minds come from the struggle, right? That's basically the Black experience, right? All of our, especially being African American, you know that all your things are birthed out of the struggle. The very thing, with hip hop being the most influential, thing that there ever was, right? It's all comes from struggle.
Struggle.
So
Yeah.
so just imagine, like, not being able to, have access to clean water, or have access to these things. There's a lot of minds that are being molded by, lack, or being molded by struggle. And that's why you find that I forget the kid's name. I'm sure you've come across it, but there's this the guy, I need to find this for the sake of having it, but there's this guy who was who's credited for helping create these different algorithms that are being used by like Instagram and Twitter and all these companies, right? You've heard of this guy?
Actually, I haven't, but
No,
I'm definitely gonna look him up though.
this is wild. This is wild. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have, this is terrible. I'll put it in the show notes.
Send it to me. Yeah. Send it to me.
But he's I believe he's from Ghana, and he maybe is in his early 20s, right? And he's doing like robotics, and he's doing VR. He's doing all these things. Truly, he should be a multi-billionaire, right? But exactly. we won't even get into that. But right. It's interesting to me to see that it's good, that it is going to be someone from what is considered a third world country, right? Be able to think in the way that is conducive to generate. You see where I'm getting at, right? It's like I am going through this, so I got to figure out a solution. It goes, I guess that's like just humanity, right? You often think of, there used to be this company that had a commercial years ago where their logo was like a caveman, and the caveman would be like making a little wheel.
Oh yeah, right? It's an insurance company.
Was it insurance? I thought it was like there's
a patent company too. Yeah. Both.
So that was like the thing. I don't even know where they are anymore, but it's burned in my memory. I think you know what I'm talking about. And it goes back to even that very basic, human aspect of like, I need to push something, and I'm gonna make a wheel. You know what I mean? Because I can't keep dragging this thing. This is whack. So
well, yeah, it comes down. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it comes down to, like you were saying, like we have how can I say it? So we already know on both sides, whether it be Black people that are in areas in America or outside of America that is in more of a poverty area, or in a not poverty area. We already know that from both sides, we can produce and have these people that produce like very amazing products or whatever, because even music is a product, right? Because like everybody can't live without music, most people. So products, or doctors or engineers or cryptocurrency creators or whatever it is. And then we know that there's people that are in the poverty area that don't have the means to do it, because you know why? Because everything takes energy. So if your basic needs, as far as like putting food in your body, why do you put food in your body? To give you energy, right? And to also like hopefully for most people to ramp up your immune system for fight off diseases, viruses, whatever. But your brain needs energy. Your whole body needs energy. And if you don't even have enough energy, then how can you actually move on to the next, I guess, stage of civilization as far as humans, where it comes from, okay, your basic needs are met. Now I can actually think about things that aren't just food and like getting food and getting water, right? So that's what I'd say this is that even in America, there is a huge pandemic I personally think about, and even people can argue this because they said that people have certain cell phones, and it is America, so maybe they do. But regardless if they have the technology or not, them understanding how to use that technology is totally different. So you can buy a little 15, 16-year-old kid in America can have an iPhone. I don't think that's the average Black kid, even today. Yeah, but they might have an older, but like a brand new, Like I'm talking about in the hood, like a brand new, unless they're doing something shady for it, or their parents just really love them. No, majority of black kids are not getting a cell phone that's $1,500 or $1,200. They're just not. So
First of all, the fact that it's $1,500.
I know, I know,
That's
I
so
know, I know,
trash.
I
That is
know.
so trash.
Now, not that I'm saying that you need exactly that to do it, but what I'm saying is that I don't think that most people even understand the specs or the technology that they even have in their hand with a flagship phone from or a mid-tier phone from even 2 to 5 years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago. Technology moves so fast. So all I'm trying to say is this: is that I don't care if you have technology. Do you know how to use it? That is the name of the game. The same way you can have all the materials and all the gold and stuff, but can you produce it so somebody can actually use it in a way that they need it throughout their life? Or, there's different, you can take different materials and make them into different things like cell phones, cars, doors, whatever, wood, whatever, gold, iron, coltan, right? So all I'm trying to say is that it's a mind state. Regardless of if you're in a place in the world that doesn't have it, or you're in America that doesn't have it, or if you're in a place in the world that does have it, or you're in America, the person that does have it, it is a mind state and a cultural thing to teach your kids to be like, look, you need to create. You need to know how to create things. You need to know how to use these things. You know what I'm saying? You need to understand these things that you're using every day. I don't believe in not understanding at least a little bit about the things that you use every day. I'm not saying you gotta know 100%, but just a little bit. You don't even know a little bit. Like that's the problem.
Yeah, you absolutely, because like you said, you're not finna leave me behind, yo. Like, I'm sorry, like, no. I'll be telling the kids, I'm like, you gotta show me it. You gotta show me how to use this TikTok.
Show me this. Exactly.
You're not finna just
exactly. You're not leaving me.
No, absolutely not. And that's the truth, is that there are a lot of people who are the majority are consumers, right? You have the thing, and you have access to the thing, but you take it for granted. You don't think of how it works. It's like when you see a 2-year-old nowadays and they go and they get on the tablet and they're just like bloop, 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 bloop. It's nothing to them, right? So there's got to be something in there that drives you to be like, okay, I did this. Now, why did this do that? You gotta almost have that curiosity,
Exactly.
And with kids, that's the peak curiosity thing, because everything is new, right? And at some point we get to a point where we are adulting, or we are going to these whack jobs, and we get out of the habit of being curious. So your $1,500 phone becomes just that. It's just
a $1,500 phone.
It's just a device, whereas if you had time, you may figure out, oh, let me go into these developer, options and settings and see how I can change this or do, you start to have that. So having the ability to even think that far or have it, I think that's a luxury. The only issue is that you got to sift through, like I said, you almost have to be lacking or without to realize that you yearn to create something. You know what I mean? So that's you got to get through that part of it, but it's there.
No, I agree, and I think that's why it's like, even this is my theory, I could be wrong, but pretty sure I'm not wrong by any means, is that a lot of African countries, especially, I know, right? I'm being real black right now. Like, yeah, I'm wrong, but I'm not really wrong.
So I just want to say, before we get into this, I may be wrong, but I'm not, nigga.
Wrong, but I'm not wrong. Like, I already know what it is. But like in Africa, a lot of African countries, not all, because there's 54 or 53, 54 plus or 54 countries. And so I don't think there should be nowhere near as many countries, because a lot of the people are the same tribes in 2 or 3 different countries. But that's another story. That's like European colonization, all that. But what I can say is that a lot of African countries already have the framework, because they didn't have the infrastructure that some Western countries or Eastern countries had. They have the framework and they have the mentality and they have the youngest workforce in the world, if I'm correct, to where they're already willing to accept something new, to where a lot of people in the West aren't really willing to accept it. You sort of kind of got to like force it down their throats. So the being adapting to it, some people in America will do it, but some people will give you pushback, versus in Africa, there's a lot of people that won't give you pushback because the framework was never there. I mean, it was there in ancient times, but I'm saying like in modern times, that whatever modern framework in the last 50 to 100 years, maybe it wasn't there, or it was there and it was fragmented. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are actually going for the scramble of Africa right now, especially in cryptocurrency and in energy. It's been like that for a long time with energy and natural resources, but especially with digital, a lot of the world is running to Africa when it comes to young minds and cryptocurrency, because a lot of African countries already do things in such a way to where they already trade virtual minutes, cell phone minutes for food or goods. So they're already accustomed to that. So getting their mind to think virtually or to do things virtually might be a lot easier than a lot of Western countries that are used to physical things to give to you for another physical thing, versus they're used to taking something that's like in the digital world and then trading it for an actual physical good. So, all I'm saying is that there's a lot of opportunity in a lot of different Black countries. Of course, maybe the infrastructure might not be there in different Black countries, but there's a lot of opportunity, especially if you have the funds and means to create something. There is actually a lot of opportunity for a lot of Black people. And of course, it's up to you how you run your company and how you run things. But, the opportunity is there, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I feel like well, let me say, maybe it's a fantasy of mine, but I feel like there are, it maybe you can let me know if you agree with this or not. I feel like there are enough well-off Black people, meaning when I say Black people in this sense, I'm just meaning like African Americans or Black Europeans who are doing okay enough that they can begin to consider where they're placing their investments or doing things like starting businesses. And when you look at these different countries who have these great minds, because they are lacking, right, or they don't have access to the means that we do, that we take for granted, I often wish that there was enough of us that would like pick up and be like, yeah, I'm gonna take this shit over here, and not only am I gonna take it over here, but I'm going to invest in these mines or connect here, because the uphill battle that we face with doing things right here with just taxes alone is a whole beast, right? So you go to start something and they say, oh, you gotta have this, or being in this credit-based society, right? It's a whole thing. But I have a desire to see, and it's happening. It is happening. There are a lot of African Americans who are making it a point to visit the continent of Africa and explore, places that they maybe would not have, just 10 years ago, maybe, right? So it is happening. I'm just ready for it to be like, okay, all the things that like built up, say like Atlanta, right? Atlanta being this Black Mecca, there's a lot of well-off Black people. We could do that in other places as long as we concentrated. But how do you feel about something like that? I
No,
mean, I'm sure you're open to it as an individual, but
oh
how do you
yeah, I
feel
mean,
about
I
as a possibility to see that tangible bridge being built where Black people are saying, hey, I can buy a home here for X amount, or I can build a home here.
well, you see a lot of people doing it. Like, I mean, there's
I see
certain
people doing
people.
it, but
Yeah, well, of course, and I'm not saying it's the majority, but you see a lot of people doing it, and they're like, "Look, I can spend $5 million here and live like a king or a queen. Like, I mean, literally have a palace." And the other place may be, okay, I have a palace, but it ain't like this. This is like a kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So I think people are doing it, but I know that there's some people that they don't even think this far. They think they're, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at it. To me, unfortunately, they don't necessarily think about all the Black people around the world, and I do, and maybe that's my burden. Maybe I shouldn't think like that. Maybe that's just a certain group of people. You already know people throughout history that have already thought about like every Black person in the world. I don't have to name any
same.
names, but yeah, like, but that's something that I just do because I couldn't walk by a poor like Black person that's like hungry in their family, and even if I couldn't do anything about it, not feel something from that. You know, like if you are a Black person, you walk by a poor family that's like starving in the Americas or anywhere, and you don't feel, even if you can't do anything about it, but you just don't feel anything from that, I think you lost the connection personally. You know what I'm saying? That's just me personally. But I think that that's very possible. And I think that we need to work with each other more than we don't need to work with each other. And like I said earlier, some people think that we should just stick to ourselves. But I don't think that's going to get us that far, because there's an old Japanese saying, there's actually African sayings too, or just like Caribbean, there's African American proverbs, but one Japanese one that I love a lot is that it says the nail that gets the nail that sticks out gets hammered, you know, and that's so true, because there's some group of Black people that really truly feel like they can do it by themselves and that the whole world is not going to crash down on them. Do something wrong, yo, you're gonna need help. You always need help. You always need, every human being needs allies. That's just, there's no human being that has ever done it by themselves. Show me the human being that has done it by themselves, and I'll show you a superhero or a magical person from the universe. Yeah, yo, they never did it by the.
Because didn't Jesus have his disciples? Like, come on now, bro.
Even him, even your boy, even your boy had disciples. Even your boy had disciples. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just keeping it real. Like, so it's like the simple fact that you really think that there's like one group of people that can do it by themselves. No, I'm not saying that there's not one group of people that can't be the spearhead, you know, of the spear, but you're gonna have to have all these other tribes behind you if you really trying to do something that is like, okay, I can possibly be safe in this area. But if you're not trying to possibly be safe and you're trying to constantly always like feel safe, but then eventually when you do too much, they're gonna put that hammer down on you as a society, then keep doing what you want to do. Like, keep doing what you're doing. But in all reality, the world is trading with each other. Last time I checked, Canada is trading with America. Canada is trading with European countries. America is trading with European countries, other countries too. But I'm just saying that, when the last time America and any European country went to war outside of what's going on right now? And even then, they're not doing it because of some connections and resources at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So the simple fact that you can disagree with somebody, but also you can do business with them, is a very important thing that I think a lot of people are missing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just like, oh, I'm gonna do it by myself. I'm gonna do it by myself. And, you know, good luck with that one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that everybody's going to be your friend that looks like you. Of course, I'm not living in a fairy tale. But there's a lot more people that want to do business than don't. And we can all benefit, even if it's just from benefiting from each other, even if we don't like each other. Benefiting from each other is still connection.
Right. And that's the idea, right? That's the network that we spoke of earlier. Having a system between us, because I don't know about you, I've worked alongside a lot of people that got on my nerves, bro. Like, I'm like, oh, I do not feel like being around this. You know, I'm not gonna say, but you get it.
Of course.
I don't feel like dealing with them today, or, you know, for whatever reasons. If I can, but the idea is that I know we got to work together side by side today. We got to be here for, 18 hours with mandatory overtime. You know, we here. We ain't got to like each other, but we're gonna get this money, right? And then when we done, you go home to yours and I'll go home to mine. And so that doesn't have to be, two ways about it. We don't have to go back and forth. You got yours and I got mine. But what I think plagues Black people in a great way is the idea that we don't have enough to go around, right? There's a lot of people who, like you said, you can't do anything alone. So you have to know somebody. You're gonna have to like have a relationship with someone who could say, yeah, I can recommend you to. That's what recommendations are for, right? Because you know somebody that got your back, or that can vouch for you. And you have a lot of people who feel like if you're doing the same thing that or you're in the same lane as them, they'll fight against it. They will hoard information. They won't tell you anything. They will, downplay whatever. So we have to get out of that in order to even do the things we need to do to build the network that we need, a network that would be impenetrable, right? Like you got me using my $5 words today. I
Look,
like
look,
this.
I'm loving it.
but we have to understand that as much as we are in the thick of it, or as much as we feel like we're lacking, or we don't have this, or we don't have the means to do that, no matter where you're from, as a Black person, you're gonna feel like you're missing out on something, right? Like you don't have enough of this, and that could be on any level, right? But you have to set that aside and then say, okay, I ain't got this, but I know Keisha got it. Not only does Keisha got it, I know her daughter does this. And you start to piece it together, and before you know it, you have a chain built, and you have all these links in there where I may not have it all, right? And it's the very thing that even you and I are doing right now, right? You do a very thing that I feel is similar to what the idea of this podcast is, but it doesn't mean that we, you know what I mean? Because there may be a strong suit that you have that I don't, and vice versa, right? So we should be willing to say, hey, it's the cereal thing, right? We talked about. There's options, bro, but we're all in this aisle, bro. Like,
Nah, that's so true.
you
And the
know what I
thing
mean?
about it, like you said, no, you're right. And the thing about it is that like having different options for unfortunately a lot of our people is like a bad thing. It's like you have to think the same way. It's and to be honest with you, in some aspects, it's a great thing. Like that we do try to think the same because it goes back to I'm just saying the pros and cons of it is the cons is that as soon as you see somebody trying to do something different or something that maybe majority of people don't do, you know, it's a very scary thing for a lot of people. But then also, like when you look at it from a connectivity, like you were talking about earlier, it's like, yo, like I personally, and I know a lot of Black people that are like this, like if I say a Black person hungry, or if it's your kid, if it's your like daughter or son, and I'm not saying that every human being wouldn't do this, but there's some people that wouldn't. But I know in the Black community, like one thing that I love about us as Black people is that I'm not going to see another Black person's kids hungry and they with me and they're not going to eat. Now, of course, everybody can say, "Oh, this is the normal thing," blah blah blah, whatever. Every human being does it, and maybe they do. I don't care. I'm talking about our culture, and so with our culture, it's like even if I've done things for Black people that even that they was not even the best Black people, but I saw something in them or I saw something in their kids where I was like, yo, like I see me, you know, like this is my tribe. And so I always look at things from a tribal standpoint, but not a tribal standpoint enough to be like, oh, this tribe is this tribe is that. Like I judge individual people, or maybe I do judge some tribes off of how they act. I do because I'm human. But majority of the time, if you're on some like, okay, I just think differently, but I'm cool, which I think a lot of people are on that, then it's like, yo, like we don't always have to agree. I don't agree with a lot of people on things, and some people don't agree with that what I'm doing. Like even when I'm doing, some people don't agree. They're like, yeah, we already tried that. Like, yo, connecting everybody. Like they, even though more people are more connected than they ever have been, but whatever. I'll let
Ever
you, right.
have.
I'll let you have that. Like you think that we should just focus on certain groups. Like we've been doing that. We've been doing that for so long that we're just focusing on different groups. We don't need that no more. I'm not saying that there has to be a utopia where every Black person gets along in the whole world. No. What I'm saying is that there needs to be some type of connection, whether it's business, whether it's more than business, whether it's business and culture, whether it's business culture and we actually get along and we have good treaties with each other, like introducing treaties with each other. Like we're African Americans, so or whatever the hell you want to be called. So whatever you are, like we can make treaties with other Black people. We can be a sovereign nation within a nation. And it's like, this is my race, this is my ethnicity. So I can have a treaty with Nigerians, and that's my treaty. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to come and say, like, yeah, like over America, we're going to sign your treaty. But I'm just saying that we can do this as a people. Like, and so these are the way, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like on a even bigger scale than what I even talk about, because you don't want to give all your eggs away in one basket, you know what I'm saying? But all I'm trying to say is this, is that there has to be some type of humanity when it comes to each other. There has to be. I'm not running and just cutting your head off all the time. Sometimes maybe I will, but majority of times I'm not. Like we need dialogue, we need discourse, we need to communicate, and we need to comprehend. It doesn't mean that everything that you do, I'm going to like. Some things are going to irk me to the bottom of my nerves, the same way it's going to irk you to the bottom of your nerves. But here's the thing. Democracy or hearing people out, and not that democracy is the end all be all, but I'm just saying, whatever. It's a republic, democracy, whatever. It's a dictatorship, what the hell ever, right? All these different terms have existed before Europeans. This is not a European concept. These are not things that they created. These are things that every human being has done, especially the original people like us have done in the past. And even if I don't like somebody, me personally, I'm going to try to be as diplomatic as possible, even if I'm like, yo, you stay over there and I stay over here. But there's got to be these treaties that are made. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree, and it's not gonna come with us waiting on them to do it. You know what I mean? We that ship has sailed a long time ago, because I'm done. I'm done with that part. If you haven't learned that yet, you will run into that, and you're gonna realize like you're gonna have to do some shit on your own. You're gonna have to make it happen on your own.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. That's another thing about entrepreneurship in the Black community, and how it's prized when you win. Like when you become something, it's prized. But then when you down here at the bottom, it's like, oh, it's just you in this shop doing something little or whatever. You already know. So for me, it's like,
I'm not your little shop.
Yeah, your little shop. They say don't be calling it little.
Yeah, your little shop. Okay, you're done with your little shop and your little.
Yeah, I see you. Like you know how it goes. You already know how it goes in our community. Like, oh, okay, I see you with your little shop. It's so good. Like, why can't it just be a shop? I know it's like right here, but like, why can't? But what I'm trying to say is that if you see somebody doing something and they have the initiative to do it, for me, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have no help. All the stuff that I do, cameras, my YouTube channel, I do it by myself, out of my pocket. Sometimes I do things and I don't even eat just to make sure the video gets done. So I feel like I know sacrifice. I know when to move money here and move money there and not have enough money for here. Like everybody can look and say what they want. You make it look so easy. You don't have a bad attitude. But behind the scenes, it's like sometimes I gotta be like, you know what I'm saying, before I go make that video and push myself. I'm serious. Some days I'll be like, is it even what I'm even doing? Is it even worth it? You know? But I think that's just the natural progression of life and trials and tribulations that a lot of people will not believe in. They will not believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Yeah. One thing I always find when I'm doing a task or something comes up, and it's like you said, the question I ask myself is like, if I don't do this, will I be satisfied? And that's when you know that's when something goes from like a hobby to like a passion, right?
Exactly. That's you.
It's like, yeah, it's like I gotta do this thing.
That's how I am.
And something tells me that you wouldn't still be doing what you're doing despite all the things that I know as a creative that comes up that you kind of have to juggle, especially when you're doing a lot on your own. Don't get me started. But you know, you have to do that thing that becomes a part of you, and I think you're at that point, right?
Yeah, I definitely am. Like it's I love it.
You can't not do it.
Yeah, I can't not do it. If I didn't go do it, it would sort of kill me inside, you know, which is crazy to think about, because the same thing that is actually sort of kind of killing you is the same thing that you love, which I guess is everything in life. You know, like there's going to be times where you have to eat away at yourself. Not that you can't regain that part of you back, but I'm saying you have to literally like sacrifice certain things to get what you want to get. And I think that's sort of kind of where I'm at. I'm in that gray area right now, especially where it's like, I was so hungry at the beginning, and I was, but hungry not for money or fame. I was hungry because there were so many amazing things still to this day that I find out, that I know, that I'm like, yo, this is like, we need to know these things. Yeah. Because of the pride, like the pride in the wealth of pride in who you are, that a lot of other cultures have, that we have, but we just have to grab it again. That's all it is. It's there, but we just have to grab it again. And when you start to learn that, you start to carry yourself in a way, not that you're not going to do bad things or you're not going to mess up, but you carry your way in which the world respects you enough to be like, this is a woman or man of culture, and I can only approach them a certain way. I can't approach them like I think that they're nothing. I have to approach them in a way of they have the same culture as I have. And so that to me is worth its weight in gold versus everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I want to say this to you because you mentioned like you tackle a lot of things, you're doing a lot of things on your own. I'll say it here while we're recording, so that way people can be like, well, so even then you can't be like, nigga, you said it right here.
I love it. I do the same thing.
You give it a timestamp, right? But I want to say to you, for everything that you're doing, I believe in what it is and the foundation of what that is. So if there's something that comes up, if you need like a graphic or you need something to happen, and you hit me up and we'll see what we can do. We'll build the network right now, and exactly. I'll see what I can do, because there's some shit that comes up and I'm just like, I can't be doing all of that.
Right.
so it takes a long, like you said, it takes a long time when you don't have all the resources that you need. You can still do the thing that you want to do, but it's going to take you a longer time to get there. And the idea of getting ahead or of manifesting faster, right, is that you create the resources, or you seek them out so that you can utilize them. So what I'm saying to you, Yohannes, is that I will be a resource to you if you ever need. Okay.
I love this guy. Oh, I'm gonna use you too. So now I'm playing. No, but I really
with us
appreciate
being
that.
so close in proximity, right?
Of course.
It make no sense to not explore that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about that after this. But I want to talk about your travels. I want to switch gears here, and I want to try to talk about some fun stuff. What's the furthest place you've traveled thus far?
Wow. So I would say, I mean, really, I've been around I've been to the other side of the earth. I mean, I've been to Tokyo. So
that's far.
You can't, I mean, outside of that, you can go to Pacific Island, but like after that, you're back in Cali, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I've been to more so a lot of Caribbean, more closer countries to America, of course, naturally, because it's close to America. So I've been to the Caribbeans, I've been to Canada, I've been to a lot of South America, well, Central America. I'm sorry, I haven't been to South America. Yeah, Central America. But the one thing that I love the most, especially about like the Bahamas, there's a festival in the Bahamas and on an island. Bahamas is made up of, I think, like 500 islands. Some are not even inhabited. Some are like really small that you can barely stand on. But there's a festival which, to me personally, is very traditionally African. I know maybe other people might think differently, but to me, this is how I see it.
But it is.
I know it is. It's the Caribbeans. But I'm just saying, some people might be like, oh, it's like this. It's not. I'm like, it's the Caribbeans. Like, come on. But I've been, and this is the crazy thing, I've been to so many Caribbean countries, not all of them, because there's a lot. There's way more than I think what the average person even knows Caribbean countries there are. Like Dominica, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago. Like there's so many. Even Guyana, which is technically on the landmass of South America and Brazil, but it's considered a Caribbean country, even though it's on a landmass because of all the Black people and how they speak and how they talk. So all I'm trying to say is this: is that I've been to so many places, and I wish that I would have had my camera back then, because I didn't even have a YouTube channel. I have so many friends in the Bahamas. Let me give a shout out. I'm sorry, I ain't trying to cry. Let me give a little shout out right now. I want to shout out to Jamaica and Bahamas and Cuba, but Jamaica and Bahamas, because I have so many people in Jamaica and Bahamas, and they be calling me like, come back. And I haven't been back because of COVID and all that kind of stuff like that. But some of the best times I had in my life was in all Black countries like Jamaica and the Bahamas.
Yes. I had a guest back in December, and her family was from Jamaica, right? And she said a quote that I know that I'm gonna at some point use in like a clip or something, but it resonated with me so much. She was like, talking about visiting home, and she was like, there's this there's this feeling that you get when you get to Jamaica and you land and you start to see, people that look like you. There's
Exactly.
a weight that comes off of you because not only are you in this, paradise, if you will, right? The weather's amazing, the people are amazing, the food's everything, the reefer's there, right? So
Right. Talk about it.
but she was like, that feeling, that breath that you can take when you get to a place where there are a lot of people that look like you is immeasurable.
I will attest
and
to
I
this
believe
because
that.
no, I will attest to this because one of the things the first time I ever left America, and when I went to Jamaica, let me tell you this: the problem is that people always equate economy with fitting in similarities. They always equate those two. I don't care how poor the country is. I don't care. Of course, naturally, part of it is because of all of the tariffs that other countries that colonized it has put over 100 or over 100 years. That's what happened to Haiti. Haiti's not poor because it just wants to be poor. Nah, the European countries were putting tariffs and they had ships.
Exactly. Nobody wants to be
exactly. No one wants to be poor. So of course there's strife and confusion in Haiti now, but I'm talking about originally once they got their sovereignty in their country, there were still different people in there that wanted to run it differently, and there were different things that European countries did that was like, oh, okay, you want to break off from us? You want to be your own country, huh? Okay, we're going to teach you. And that's why a lot of Caribbean countries are still paying money to the Queen, unfortunately. But that's another story. But all I'm trying to say is that, and of course, in inland strife with different ideologies amongst Black people, right? So it's a combination of all these things. But when you go to Jamaica or you go to Bahamas, you go to this country, you forget America has 322 million people. Jamaica doesn't have that many by any stretch of imagination. I think they have less than like 7 million people or 5 or whatever it is. So you can't even compare them. The population is like 100 times more in America than is in Jamaica. That's where people forget economically because you need more manpower, right? And sometimes you don't, but that's technology. That's a different story. What I'm trying to say is this: forget how much money they're making. Forget the common person is making this much money. Forget all that. The feeling of fitting in and not worrying about people just going to blame you just because of the way you look, that's priceless. Look, if you've never experienced,
it's worth the cost of admission.
Exactly. If you never experienced it, look, trust me, leave America.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, leave America.
When I go somewhere, it depends, and that just depends on what I have to do, what my itinerary is. But I've tried not to just stay like, oh, I'm just gonna be at this resort and say I've been somewhere.
Yeah, you know I've been to the resort.
I try to sneak out and see something, especially if I know someone who is there. So
yeah,
like my first feeling of that, the feeling that we're talking about of seeing other people that look like you, and getting to be like, oh shit.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
I don't even know how to explain, but you know what I'm talking about. My first feeling was when I was in Colombia.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Black people in Cali, Colombia. And
I have an Afro-Colombian friend that I did a video with him. We're about to make another video pretty soon. I was talking to him yesterday. Yeah,
and it's one of those things. It's like you get there, and so you get around people, you don't understand everybody. My Spanish is trash, but also, I mean, I've gotten better as a result. But you get around people and they say, oh, dance, and they take you out. Now with them, the one thing I found to be true, and maybe this is just a Colombian trait overall, but the one thing I found to be true is that when they ask you something, so let's say someone ask you if you want to dance, or ask you if you want some food, or ask you, whatever it is, they make an offer to you, and you say in a very American mindset, you say, oh, no, thank you. Right? You say that the way that they take it is, oh, you don't know how? Let me show you.
Exactly.
So they'll grab you and it's not like you're saying
it's a different mind state.
Yeah, it's like, it's not like, no, I don't want. Let's say that, oh, they offer you some food. Oh, no, thank you. Oh, well, here's what you do. So you take this.
And you do this. And that's the same thing. Look, here's the crazy thing. That's the same thing where you go with any country. For instance, like,
yeah,
you can offend Black people in America. Only because offending somebody in a different culture, or maybe even like either offending them or them taking it as you don't know, happens in every country. Because there are some Black people in America, you already know, that they don't know nothing about the world. They barely even know anything about outside of their state or their hood, right? And the simple fact that their mentality and their mind is stuck in that like zip code or state or whatever, or even their region as like East Coast, West Coast, whatever. If somebody comes from a different country and the way that they act around them, they'll take it the same way, like, yo, you don't know, or you disrespecting me, like you don't want to eat my food, like you think my food is not good, it's dirt. I've seen
what was that thing that was going around a few weeks back? The African American urge, right? There's this urge that it's like I have to show you the actual spot,
exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Oh no, you ain't had nothing like this. You know?
Yeah. I'm gonna take you, but it's the same thing.
You against your will. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, no, exactly. Come on.
Exactly. You're gonna come with me. Come on. We're going. Nah, just trust me. Just trust me. Trust me.
I got you. And no, wait. This is my favorite Black line. When you know that somebody's gonna take you to the hood, and they say, "Ain't nobody gonna bother you."
Yeah. Come on. Ain't nobody gonna. You with me? It's all good. It's all good. I'm like, is it? I'm still going. I'm like,
ain't nobody gonna bother you. Come on.
Right. But it's like that in every culture, especially more so Black cultures, because of course, as we know, there's certain cultures in the world that are a little bit more cold, like Norwegian culture is very like European. Norwegian culture is very like stick to myself, stay away from me. And see, here's the problem. I'm glad you brought it up, but I'm just bringing it full circle about different cultures in the world, is that it's very important to understand where you're going before you go, because a lot of Black people, once they first start going places, they don't understand the culture. So in Colombia or in South America, a lot of Black women are very aggressive. Like, they're like, look, I like you, so it is what it is. And you might be taken back, and you might like, a lot of people say like, oh, I like that. But when you see how serious they are quickly, versus in America, where a lot of people might not be as serious as quickly, right? Because you already hear that line where it's like, you're moving too fast. In America, you hear that a lot, like, yo, relax. Like, you already talking about marriage, or you talking about this, like, versus in South America, a lot of Black women are like, in the Spanish culture down there in general that has influenced everything. They're like, nah, like, what's up? We boyfriend and girlfriend? Like, what's going on? Like, we dancing, we kissing? Like, what's up? So all I'm trying to say is that exactly. But all I'm trying to say is that if you don't know the culture, you're going to be like, either you're going to just like fall for a trap that might be too fast, or you're going to be like, hold on, like, we just met. But
Yohannes, my bad. Why?
It's all good.
I told you I was in Colombia and dancing and stuff. Well, when they dance so close, and I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, am I gonna get some? Like, is this?
I know. Like, I know. I've been there. I know.
Like, you can leave me alone, because
right, you already know what it is. What's the same?
I'm confused, but everybody's dancing like this, and I'm just like, oh, is this kind of?
It's a cultural thing. The same way that maybe Black people might, I mean, in America, usually if you like, real close to each other, like bumping and grinding or whatever, then you probably like each other to some extent.
It's like twerk culture, right?
Exactly.
Which has been around forever, right?
Since the beginning of Black people, for the most part.
Since forever, right? And like, okay, like I remember, I'm gonna have to get my charger. I remember years ago, like at the end of the 90s and 2000s was when I first started hearing like twerk. And that was because like the Yin Yang Twins were like huge, right?
Yeah. Even though we was already doing it, we've been doing it since
Africa.
Like, it ain't nothing new.
And so you go, like, if you look at like New Orleans culture, first of all, New Orleans is like the dopest, like, I don't know, like that the cultural crossroads that happen in that particular state is wild. It's wild.
Yeah, it's they got their own music and everything, like.
Yeah. And so like it's like, to that level of this dance is this, so people, where you might be from, I don't know, Northern Cali, and you see somebody twerking, and let's say they're younger, and you're like, oh no, this is not right. Whereas like, it's just dancing. It's just that, so you get confused because you don't get it. But yeah, that's why that was me. I was like, yo, we dancing too close. I don't know if this is
well, it's a regional thing, and it's also like you said, like people can dance with you in Colombia or anywhere South America, and they might not. I mean, like to some extent, they might be sexually attracted to you, but I'm just saying, a lot of times,
but most times it's just the dance.
It's just a dance. It's just a dance. Like I feel you.
Hey, you ever been so hot that you got a few? You ever had a few before? Where you go?
Oh yeah.
Phew, 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 with a pH. Phew.
Yeah, I've been done like a hard work a day, like outside, and I'm like, whew.
And then you really putting in the work when you go.
Yeah.
Right. What is that? That doesn't cool off. That's anything.
But believe it or not, like when you suck in, like it cools your brain. Like a lot of times when you yawn, actually part of that is to cool your brain. That means your brain's overheating, believe it or not. And you're tired.
And you sleepy as fuck.
Right. It can mean two things or just one, you know what I'm saying?
Oh goodness. What were we talking about?
Oh, but also I wanted to say that also, even like culturally, right? In America, slurping is not looked at as being something like good in America. But in Japan, slurping is looked at as high respect, because when they make ramen and you slurp it, I'm just saying for Black people that have never been places, if you slurp it, that lets the chef know that it's good. And if you don't slurp it, that's actually looked at as being rude and disrespectful.
Yeah.
So learning about different cultures before you go places is very important, I feel like. Or you can learn why
it's like, oh, you didn't think this was good?
Right, that's what it is. But in America, if you slurp,
like,
you might get slapped. Like, yo, stop being rude.
There's a video I saw. It was one of the most beautiful things. There was a lady, and she was recording her grandchildren, and I guess they stayed over her house that day or whatever. And it was like all of them were like siblings or whatever. I don't know, but it was maybe say like four different kids, different age groups, and they were all. It was time to eat. So she like cooked them a meal, and it was like, some good like soul food. I don't know if it was like some fish or some ribs. It was something. And it was just like her voice. Like she was so happy. And she was like, is it good? Did grandma cook for y'all? And the kid's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said, it's good, baby. And she was recording each other. And I was, yes. Yeah. And they, I mean, they couldn't even hold all the food that they was getting, like it was just a mess on the plate. They did not care. Grandma
That's reminded me of my grandma.
Listen, grandma cooked, and they was having a good time. They didn't care about nothing else at the dinner table. And it got to the point she was recording each of them. And then she walks over to the couch where, like, I guess maybe like her daughter or someone older was sitting, and they were holding a small baby. And the baby was, she was like feeding the baby or whatever. And she's like, oh, baby, is it good? And the baby's like, and it's like
meow.
No, cutest shit I ever seen in my life. I loved it, yo. It was the blackest thing. And they was just,
man, let me tell you something quickly. Like, man, I had some food for some older Black women. It's crazy, man. It's crazy the ability of some like Black women, how they can cook. It's crazy. Like the level of what they can cook on is just crazy.
What did your knack for, or what? Well, obviously, because you like to eat, right?
Yeah, what I like to eat, but I don't love to eat. There's a difference. I think some people love to eat. I just like to eat.
What you trying to say?
I mean, not nothing to you. I'm just saying in general, like some people, they whole life is just, my whole life's not eating. I mean, I know I gotta eat to survive. I like good food, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like some people's whole life is just food. I have a cousin where his whole life is just food. Everything's about food.
Yohannes, literally, I think the dream job is to like do like the Anthony Bourdain thing. That's
what I'm doing. I'm doing the Black version of it.
Ideal for me.
Yeah, I'm doing the Black version of it.
See, we're gonna have to just put our money together and make it really happen.
It's gonna be the Black Bourdain. Black Bourdain.
But like to be able to travel and meet people and share food and share stuff, like fucking A. There's so many. Oh,
That's so dope. And I'm like, even though I have a Black cultural channel, and some people probably they'll look at me and be like, why? And I'm like, I have so many friends from so many different races and different cultures, and I would love to do that either way. Look, I can tell when people have done something wrong, but also I can enjoy their good stuff too. That's just who I am. Like if they did something wrong, it's like, yeah, they did something wrong, but they also have good things in this culture too, and I can enjoy it as well. Maybe not like if they did something super duper wrong, but you know, the
I
world
love it.
moves on. The world moves on, and some people weren't even involved in those bad things that happen. And you got to sort of kind of play both sides of the field, where it's like, okay, yeah, you want this exclusive cultural channel, but also to have a cultural channel, you should also expose your audience to things that they don't know.
Just choose one. Honestly, it's gonna have to be the first thing that comes into your head because that's gonna be the most honest, right?
Soul food, said I'm playing.
But what's the best meal that you've tried, and that you just like were blown away by? Do you recall?
Man, I you know, a
And when
lot
I
of
say
people.
best meal you
I've
tried,
had a lot of good food.
I mean since you started to
Review food.
yeah.
I had a lot of good food, but let me tell you something. This damn Haitian food that I did a video with T Coco. Shout out to T Coco in Columbus, Ohio, north side of Columbus, Ohio, on Cleveland Avenue and Morris Road. That was one of the best foods I ever tried on my channel. The T Coco's like Haitian food. Haitian food is so good. It doesn't have any business being that good. If you go to a great Haitian restaurant, like it's so amazing. It's just so good. Like I look, don't take my word.
It's good. You know it's good when you get a twinkle in your eye, like you just
Yeah,
did.
yeah, like it's Haitian. I feel like Haitian food is slept on. And granted, some people might listen to me right now and go to a Haitian restaurant and they might be like, this is not that good because they might not go to the top of the top Haitian restaurant, right? You always have to take that into account. You can't just go to a trash Haitian or Jamaican restaurant and be like, this is trash. Like, okay, there's still the best of the best in every cuisine, like, right? But I'm vegan, and from what I tasted, it was amazing. And that was one of the best foods that I ever had in my life. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm in love with Haitian. I'm smitten by Haitian
Not
food.
smitten.
Yeah,
Not
I'm smitten by it.
You got smote it.
I'm smitten by Haitian food now. I love Haitian food.
With you reviewing food and culture, and then you throw in the vegan aspect, do you, if you're presented in a way where it says, okay, we want you to do this, but you got to try this food, do you set aside the vegan to actually try the thing if that thing isn't vegan?
Don't ask me that.
I'm gonna ask you that. I'm gonna ask you that because
no, I want you to ask me that, but I'm like, don't, because I'm about to answer you.
The reason I ask you that is because if you just cannot bring yourself to do it, just let me know and I got you, and I'll do the thing.
Exactly. Okay, look, this is why on certain restaurants I bring other friends, right? Like when I went to Haitian food or whatever. But I would think that most Black cultures around the world have vegan dishes, like at least rice and beans, some type of plantain or fruit, you know, some type of potato dish or spinach dish. Like, so I'm not really too worried about if there won't be a vegan option, but there are some Black cultures where it's really majority meat or maybe like very heavy on meat. And so, look, if I was really pressed to do it and I was in the middle of nowhere and I really, really, really felt like I needed to do it for the culture, I might do it. But 99% of the times, I'm gonna bring somebody with me. I'm gonna bring you with me because I know you eat meat and you're gonna eat it. So it is what it. I'll probably just bring somebody with me. I know some
so
vegan
people. You ain't right. When I tell you, listen, see, this is the thing. When we go to get the deal for the Black travel show and with food, you're gonna have to say yes. You're gonna have to say yes. You're gonna say, yeah, I'll try anything. And then we go and we do the thing. Don't you get in there and telling
Well,
people that we're not
well,
gonna
the
try.
thing, well, I had this, and I already sort of kind of coined this. Not that I coined it, but I've already sort of kind of trademarked this in a way in my head. Look, poor man's copyright. I'm saying it on video right now. I've said it before. Is that I wanted to start a Black vegan show. Think about a vegan show in general, and I've actually sort of kind of started with my YouTube channel in a way, but I have another YouTube channel I'm trying to start. But I I'm talking to some people about trying to do a Black vegan YouTube channel because, or not YouTube channel, but the channel in general, because there's not even any vegan channels that I even know about on TV. And I could be wrong, maybe I don't know. But I've
Yeah.
never seen a vegan channel. So I have an idea to be the first like vegan channel, but also Black vegan that goes around the world. And of course there's people that are Black vegans on YouTube that are doing it already. I'm just saying that like there still hasn't been that national travel around the world just looking for vegan restaurants all around the world as far as Black people or just really anybody in general that I know of, you know.
Yeah, there definitely should be the options for it. I don't know. I like everything, so it doesn't matter if it's vegan or not.
That's why I'm gonna bring you with me. That's why you know, that's why I bring the tribe. I bring the tribe. Look, I'm the only one that's vegan. The rest of the tribe, they eat meat, they eat everything. So it is what it is. Not everything. Some people do eat everything. I know what yeah, they do. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I ain't fooling with you. What's one place that you have not yet visited that you definitely want to, and why?
Oh, there's a lot of places I want to visit. But one place.
We have to choose one.
Okay, I have like 50 in my mind. I really have the whole continent of Africa in my mind, but I would say I'll probably say Rwanda. I really want to visit Rwanda.
Yo, I just recently, and it was because I had to pull things because I had a guest from Rwanda, and I just recently like started really exploring it. I would say earlier this year.
You talking about the land of 1,000 hills? Doesn't it sound so romantic? The land of 1,000 hills, like so ancient, so beautiful.
The land of 1,000 hills.
Yeah, it's like a fairy tale. Like it's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's definitely from what I've seen so far, and I still have to pull at it because I mean, for heaven's sake, like you said, there's all these there's over 50 countries in that, you know, just the continent, and so it's like, geez Louise, like I can only pull bits from here and there and still be like missing so much. So that's a place where recently, because of my guest, I was prompted to learn more about. So I'm that's interesting that you chose that. So
Definitely.
I like it. What's a culinary dish that you haven't tried yet that you know of that you want to try?
Getting hard with the questions. You know, I never, that's actually an interesting one. I really don't even know, to be honest with you. There's a dish, there's something that I've been wanting to try that I've been thinking about in my mind. Okay, look, I'm vegan, but I always wanted to try oysters because they make it look so good.
Enjoy yourself.
Well, yeah, but because some people would say that it's an animal, some people say it's not an animal. I mean, I don't know, but like oysters is something that I wanted to always try because they always make it look so good on the food channels, and they be sliding it down their throat and they be putting like hot sauce or lemon. Some people be like, you don't need nothing because it just tastes so good depending on what kind of clam it is or oyster. So that is something that I always wanted to try. Now, am I ever going to try it? Probably not, but that is something that I always wanted to try because I used to.
I think you should try it.
I might. I'm gonna think about it as a plant and not an animal.
Yeah. I mean, I think you should try it. I think that if you're in a place where, you know, you end up in a place where it's there and it's just
take it, like put a little lemon
in the moment. Just be in the moment. You know,
I might. If you catch me in the right predicament, I might. You know what I'm saying?
I always tell people. I always say, I'd hate to like say no to something that is so like, whatever, and then get hit by a bus the next day.
But I'm about to go get oysters tonight. I'm about to go get clams tonight, yo. I want to get hit by this bus.
Because life be happening, bro. And so it's like, I will bend the rules for living in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
As long as it's not stupid. You know what I mean? I'm not just like, oh yeah, I want to do this ketamine tonight. Like, I'm not doing it.
Right.
There's certain stuff you don't have to try to know that it's not good for you. But other stuff, I'm just like, enjoy yourself. So I won't keep you for long, right? So if you can, before we go here, because I feel like I could talk to you forever, go ahead and let the people know where they can find you, where they can keep up with you, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you having me on your platform. And so you guys can find me on YouTube. All you have to do is type in Afric Network, which is AFRIC NETWORK. And then also my Instagram is Afric Network, and everything else, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, it's all Afric Network, because nobody else was using it. So I'm glad I got to it first. And then I would appreciate if you guys would actually check out my channel. If you like it, please subscribe. If you don't, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? You can check it out. And yeah, that's where you can find me. And I really appreciate you having me on your channel, because, it's always a pleasure. Like, we can talk forever, we Black everywhere. So you already know what that is. So, I appreciate you so much, brother, for letting me be on your channel. And yeah, man, I mean, what can I say? I'm honored. Yeah, I'm honored.
I appreciate you too, man. It was great talking to you. Keep being Black as you are and Black as you want to be, and do your thing, man. I appreciate you so much, and I look forward to keeping up with you as time goes on here, right?
Thank you so much, brother. And me too. I'm gonna check back in with you. I want to see you at like 30, 40, 50,000 subscribers soon. You know what I'm saying? I know you can do it.
Hey,